All right, so we're going to go through a full introductory lesson here to, and this will cover, I don't know, the first 6 or 7 all in one video. So hopefully this will kind of get you a little more familiar with it, and then we can kind of go back and rework on that cabin. So let's look at the interface first. So here's my interface. You obviously figured out how to click File, New. We're going to create a new map. If it looks like this, you can just maximize it. We've got 4 windows. If you put your mouse in the corner, it tells you what each one is. Okay, so top, side, front, camera. All right. Now, when we make stuff, so I saw that yours was in wireframe. All right, and so we're going to make some adjustments here so that you can kind of see everything a little bit better. And so first off, let's play with our grid settings. So by default, the grid is pretty big. It's like a 3-foot grid. So it's really hard to make things like walls and floors because everything is 3 foot thick. So right over here in the corner is 2 little buttons that say smaller grid, larger grid. So click on the smaller grid button about 10 times. And what it does is it reduces this grid to where these little squares are about 1 inch. Okay? All right. Now the next thing we're going to do is we'll go ahead and make a box right here in the center. All right. So I'm going to take my block tool and draw out a box. All right. Now before I hit enter, let's go over here to Tools. Or I'm sorry, Map, Units, Feet and Inches. So what this is going to do is it's going to change the measurements down here from source engine units, which are some weird measurement, to actual feet and inches. Okay, so I'm going to click Map, Units, Feet and Inches. So now down here, if we look, it says 413 feet 2 inches wide, 345 feet 8 inches long, 5 feet 4 inches high. Okay. Now I like to stay on the major grid lines just to help myself. So I like to put my what do you call it? I just kind of like to align everything to these major grid lines here. Now you don't have to, obviously. There's 8. When you get to the smallest, when you zoom in as close as you can, there's 8 of these. So roughly 8 inches thick. So I usually just, for the sake of making things easy and keeping everything lined up, when I can, I like to stick to these grid lines, the major grid lines, not the minor grid lines. And it just kind of helps me, keep things, like I know a wall is normally, 8 inches thick. Stairs, for example, are 8 inches tall and 16 inches deep. So that's kind of, those blocks are 8 inches. So the tiny blocks are about 1 inch. The bigger blocks are 8 blocks of the little ones. So I like to stay on that because for whatever reason, everything kind of goes with that measurement and it works pretty good. All right. So that's how I make my measurements. So now I'm going to press enter. Now I noticed yours was in wireframe. So what we need to do here is if you don't see your textures, where it says camera, you're going to click on camera and you're going to go to 3D shaded textured polygons. Okay, so if yours was in this, which makes it really difficult to work, we're going to go to camera, 3D shaded textured polygons. All right. Now on yours, I noticed there was 2 blocks and I think what was a player start. It was really hard to tell. Source engine, you have to build what's called a skybox. And one of the lessons talked about this, but the way we have to build a skybox, it has to be sealed. So your skybox has to be completely sealed for the game to run properly. It'll crash and it may not run and you'll get all kinds of weird glitches and stuff. So we always start with the ground Okay, so here's my ground, and this is pretty big. This is, 592 by 500 feet. This is a big box. I'll take my block tool, and then I've got to make the sides. So I'll come in here and line these up. Now the thing is, when we make anything with a brush, these little blocks are called brushes. We want to avoid overlapping as much as we can. Sometimes you're just going to have to. That's just the way it lines up. But if we can, we want to avoid overlapping. So we don't mind if they touch. Okay, so see how this red line is the top of this ground box, and I'm making a new box. So I'm going to put it right on top of that. So when possible, what you want to do is you want these boxes to touch, but not overlap anytime that you can. Okay? So I want them to touch, but not overlap. When they overlap, they get graphical glitches, and it's supposed to hurt performance a little bit as well. All right. Now, once we do that, I'm going to go around and I'm going to create all the other sides doing the exact same thing I just did. Now, there's a trick here for copying and pasting. So you can right-click, copy, paste, but there's an easier way to do it. All right, so I've got ground, I've got this side right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my shift button. So I'm holding shift. I've got my selection tool. I'm going to click on this, the wall, this guy right here, in the two-dimensional view. So I'm holding shift, left click and hold. I'm going to drag, then I'm going to release the mouse, then I'm going to release shift. Okay, so look, that duplicated that block. So now I can just take that block that I just made, I can move it to the other side. And I'll just line it up. There we go. Now what I could also do here is I can shift, click, drag, release, and I could just reshape that block to make it the other side if I wanted to. So I can just grab that, bring it over here. So because I know it's the right height, right? So I know it'll match up with the other ones. So I'll just bring it over here. And then I'll just stretch it to the other side. I might have gone way past it. Yeah, there it is. So I'll stretch this. And I'm just going to bring it right up to the other block. Alright, so now I've got 3 of my sides. So now again, I'm just going to shift, click, drag, release mouse, release shift. And I'll line this one up. Alright, so now what we have, I have 4 sides and a ground. So I need a roof on this box. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to click on the bottom. And I am just going to shift, click, drag, and I'm copying the ground, release the mouse, release shift, and then I'm going to seal the box by putting this right on top. Okay, so here's my box. Now we'll go ahead and add a player. So I'm going to take my entity tool. Under objects, I want info player start from the drop down here. I'm going to drop my player on the ground. So now I've got this guy. Alright, now I need a sky. Alright, so we're going to go to our texture tool. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to select browse. in the filter, we're going to type Skybox, all one word. You cannot use these, okay? We got to go all the way to the bottom. Second from the last one, it says Skybox, not 2D Skybox. It's just this one here that says Skybox. It's blue. Double click it. Now, I'm going to leave my face edit sheet. This is the texture tool menu right here. I'm going to leave it open. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to right click to apply that texture. Okay, so I'm just right clicking and I'm going to put the sky all over every single one of these. Cool. All right, then I can close this. So now once we've done that, let's save our map. Remember, no spaces, no special characters or anything like that in the name. Save it, and then let's go ahead and test run it. So I'm going to press F9 on the keyboard, F9. For now, we can just put all of these to normal. Click OK. This is your compile log. It should load fairly quickly. There's my map. I can run around, walk, looks beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and quit. Back to here. All right, so now from this wonderful space we have here, I want you to build that cabin, all right? So from here, the first thing we're going to do is you're going to build the floor plan of the cabin. So you're going to use your block tool, and I'm going to zoom in where the player's at, and I'm going to make a box, okay? This box is going to represent the first room of this little cabin. Now the height of this box, okay, I don't want it to be a massive giant box. I don't even know where it's at. It's probably up, oh, there it is up there. Okay, so remember I said 8 inches is the height of a step. So let's go ahead and bring this down to the level of the player. Okay, now here's the ground. So I want to set this right on the ground. I'll put it right there. Yeah, right on the ground. And I want it to be 8 inches high. So right now it's 2 feet 8 inches. So it's really tall. So I'm going to bring it down till it gets to 8 inches. Okay, so 8 inches right there. I'm going to press enter. All right, now it's Skybox. Don't want that. So let's go ahead and apply a different texture to it. So let's do like wood. Let's see, how about a wood floor? This will work. Double click, and then I'm going to right click to apply it. Okay. Looks good. All right. Now we're going to take this, and the trick that I use for this is I simply shift click drag. I copy this. So this is my first room. So I'm going to shift click, drag, release, and then I just put this up against this one. And then, you know, obviously I can scale it a little bit if I want to, but there's another room of my cabin. Okay, and then maybe I want a bathroom off the back here. So I'll go ahead and get this one lined up. Shift, click, drag. Here's another room. And let's make this room a little smaller. Okay, so now I've created a floor plan. So there's a room. Maybe this is my bedroom. Maybe this is the bathroom. Now for the walls, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to my block tool. I like to make the walls 8 inches thick, and they should be I don't know, 10 feet is like one of their recommended heights. So I'm going to take this little block, I'm going to set it right on the floor, and I'm going to go to 10 feet tall. So if we look at the height over here, it's 9.8, 9.9, 9.10. And let's go 2 more inches. 2. So 120 units tall. Over here you can see it's 10 feet. I'm going to press enter. So now I've got this little chunk of wall right here. Okay. Now to finish the wall, all I need to do is take my selection tool and just stretch it. Okay, so I'm going to take it all the way to the end of the floor. And then to create my next wall, shift, click, drag. And I'll just hit escape if you do that. I'm just going to reshape this. Put it right there. Slide this over. So I'm going to keep my walls 8 inches thick. So I'm just taking this existing block and I'm going to shrink it to 8. There we go. And then I'll just stretch it. Okay, right to there. And I'll just keep doing that. Shift, click, drag, release. And then I'll shrink this guy up here and put him into place. So I'm just going to shrink this section. Put it right there. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Okay, that's the right size. Now I'll stretch it this way. And it's not letting me go off the screen here, so I'll move it. And I'll stretch it all the way to the edge. Okay, so you can see my walls are starting to form. The roof is the same thing. I'm just going to make a block on the top, make myself a flat roof. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is build the layout for this thing. When you come to the section where you want doors, all you're going to do is we're going to take our walls and we're just going to leave openings in them where we would want a door. So if I've got this wall right here and I want a door, so I'm going to make that wall, and then I'll duplicate it, shift click drag, okay, and then I'll just leave a gap for the door. Okay, so there's a door opening. Now we need a piece across the top, right? So again, shift, click, drag. I'm going to duplicate that wall and I'm going to fill in the gap. Okay, so now I've got 3 little walls right here. This is where I want the door. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bottom of that piece and I'm going to lift it. Okay, to make myself a door opening. And I'll just lift it a little more. There we go. Okay, so there's a door opening. Now, say I wanted this to be a window. So the difference between a door and a window is that on a window there's just a bottom piece too. So I'm going to shift click drag. I'm going to grab that piece. Put it right there. Okay, so now I have a window. I have a top and a bottom piece. So to do a door or a window, what you're going to do is take that wall, break it up into pieces, and then if you want a door, you make a top piece. If you want a window, you make a top and a bottom piece. Right? So that should be enough to get your cabin started, and then we'll go from there. So this is what I want you to work on today.